So, this is the child who will save the world.
No Kuni, which I believe means the country in Japanese, if you type it into Google Translate, I think.
Ni no Kuni stands for that. There are three words there, so okay.
There are.
All right. Ni no Kuni.
Yes. A very interesting game that
It
I
is.
randomly
It is.
stumbled upon. My tagline for it would be the best game you've never heard of.
My tagline on this is one needs to play the full game before recommending a game to friends. Because I bought this thing on the high recommendation of you, Bill, and
Yes. And
about
let me
that I
clarify this
learned
because I don't know.
very recently.
I
that
haven't
you're
heard
not finished.
your reaction to this since before you bought it because I was kind of explaining it to you, and I remember we were talking about this in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And that's when I mentioned it. I said, "Oh my god, this is like the best game I've ever played." But I was only probably 12 hours in. But in the grand scheme of things, it's like right at the beginning. Like that is at the very start, kind of the game.
And let's just put a pin on that right there. See, because that's my biggest problem with Ni no Kuni. All right, like I've played long games before.
Mhm.
It's okay. Certainly, the Mass Effect trilogy is something like 180 hours, and I was, into every second of that. But mostly because that involves some sort of pacing.
Mhm.
And Ni no Kuni has no pacing.
Right.
It is.
It's highly repetitive, and it just keeps going, and it never ends.
Yeah, it feels like I'm playing like a kid show, like
Yeah.
playing through like an entire like multi-season arc of like a kid show. Like that's what it feels like. So I feel like the people who might be the real like gold spot for this game might be considerably younger than us, right? So, I mean, we're both 28, right? No, you're 29, right?
I'm 28. You're a month older than I am.
Okay, all right. So yeah, we're both 28. We may be 20 years too old for this game. That's what I'm saying because you remember like I remember at least the endless amount of hours I poured into Legend of Zelda like as a
Yes.
kid on the N64. All
Yes.
right. Endless amounts of hours. And man, like I would be able to get the ins and the outs of everything on there, and I'm gonna just be an old grump here. But back in my day, before you could look things up on the internet,
You
I
gotta
found
figure things out on your own, yeah.
yeah, I could figure, but to be honest, I found nothing, and then like the internet showed me that. So I don't, begrudge anybody today for having this wonderful thing that can show you all the ways to win a game, and that's honestly, so that was my big complaint, that it like I was hoping for an episode, and I got 4 seasons of TV, like that's kind of.
Yeah. I mean, because it drug on for me quite a bit, and that's one of the reasons why I stopped playing it about a year ago, and then I just picked it up again a few weeks back, to complete it and power through it so that I can complete the game. Because I wanted to finish it before we did this. I thought, I wanted to experience it all before we got into it.
Right.
So let's back up a little bit. So I completed the game.
Yes.
And how far did you get, and how many hours did you put into it before you gave up?
I would say I put in. I mean, I want to say between 50 and 100 and nearer to 100. That's what I'm.
Hours?
Yeah.
What game were you playing? Because I beat it in 70.
70? Okay. All right. Well, maybe it just drug on for a long time. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to. Well, actually, I can. You know
I mean,
what?
there's a tracker if you
Okay. I'm gonna boot up my PS3, which I have connected.
that might
So
actually be a good idea to keep that.
Yeah.
Kick that up.
Right. Okay. So, but I think what you're really asking me is where in the plot did I leave? And I left when I had had enough. I left. Well, I left. Um, I remember that the last thing I cared about was like we were at the Pirate Bay, and everybody was like in speedos, and I
Yep.
thought that was kind of interesting. I like that. I mean, I like the world that they built. I just think they could have run through it a little bit faster. The
So that's impressive if you got to there and put in 100 hours worth
well,
of gameplay.
Well, okay, so like here's the thing is that I am a person who is very into system mastery, all right?
Uh,
I want to be able so and this is unless this is Legend of Zelda meets Studio Ghibli meets Pokemon,
yeah,
right?
I explained it as, Legend of Zelda meets Pokemon, which is
Right, right. And
I
so
like.
like I was, kind of into building like some sort of team. So maybe I put
Mhm.
like I focused a little
Yes.
more on that combat. And because I remember going out and trying to pick fights of everything in the world.
Yeah.
Like and that's what I remember doing. So
Because
I
my strategy with these types of games where you kind of like level up throughout, so you think of like Pokemon, Final Fantasy, those kind of games. My strategy has always been I want to explore it all
mhm,
and fight whoever gets in my way. So I'm not gonna go
okay.
out of my way to like level up necessarily. I might do
Mhm.
that a lot in the beginning, take the Juggernaut approach, which I did with Pokemon.
Right, right, right.
And actually, that's kind of what you have to do with this game because if you look at the fundamental flaw with its battle system,
Okay, and I do want to get into that. Do
yeah,
we really care how many hours I put in? Are we
I don't really, but I was just
okay?
wondering how
Okay.
you put in 100 hours and only got to Castaway Cove.
I'm okay. Well, no. Actually, I said I didn't say that was the farthest I got. I said that was the farthest I cared about. Okay,
Ah,
because what I remember after that is the city of pigs that
hmm
were
the
in
the
the
industrial pig
industrial
city.
pig city. I remember awaking, going back in time, and then opening up some you know
Yep, that.
prince's
Yep.
something, and then I think that, and then there was this puzzle. There was this giant puzzle where you had to move everybody like across a chasm, and I was just like, I don't give a fuck about this game enough to solve this puzzle, and then I just never picked it up again, and that's how No Kuni lost me.
So
It's
interesting
really
because
like.
you actually got farther than I did before I stopped playing
Oh yeah,
last
yeah,
year.
man. Well, because I wanted to do this review with you, like because I wanted to, talk about this game. My God, because it is very it's very up where it is very where is good it is very good
Yeah,
where it's
it's
bad
very
it's very
polarized.
bad.
Where it's
Yeah.
good, it's very good. Where it's bad, it's pretty bad.
Yes.
Because it's
Yeah.
not without it's. I still consider it an amazing game, but it's not without its faults for sure.
Right. Yeah. I absolutely agree. I mean, so where were we before? So that's as far as I got.
Okay.
Industrial City and Prince. How far, percent wise, on a scale of 100%, did I get into that game?
If you got through the back in time piece, I'd say you're probably somewhere around 60 to 70%.
Okay. All right.
Because I stopped playing just before the back in time piece, and so I'd say you were about halfway, maybe
Mm.
somewhere in there. And so
Also,
let me
I
ask you.
remember Pirates. The
Yeah,
Pirates Dragon. Was
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. All
Oh
right.
wait, you got to the dragon, the sky pirate?
Yeah. The Sky.
Oh, then you were farther. You're probably more like 70% of the way through if you got
Okay.
to
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Because I think from there you had to go find like the 3 orbs for your wand.
And I was just like, I have to find the three X's for my Y.
Yeah,
Ah!
yeah. That's what I kept thinking too this whole time. It's like, okay, now you got to find this. Now you got to get to this. Now you got to do this. Now you got to do this. It just never ended.
Yeah, like I mean, it's like it feels like a kid show for
That
and
was that's what I didn't like about it either. Like it was too kid, kid morality tales. It was
yeah.
too kid oriented. However, if you read the like wiki page, which I don't know if you did or not, it stated that the developers really wanted to take you back to that innocence of a child and really get that part across. But I think they went to the extreme, and to your point, this was almost like playing through Barney the video game at some point.
Well, yeah. It's not the worst, It's not the worst, but I think what really got me about this game, was like I felt that I was what I wanted and what I got in the very beginning was a lot of the Studio Ghibli.
Yes.
And I love Studio Ghibli. I love the animation style. I think it's really well done, and everybody's really expressive, and the artwork is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
because that's what really sold me was the visuals of this game.
Yeah.
It's like this is probably the best looking game I have really ever seen.
Right, and then when it popped you into the world, I was like, you know what, this world is Studio Ghibli enough, like for me to believe that like the studio had some input in how the design and the
and I love every now and then they would splice in like the anime cutscenes.
Right. Yes.
It wasn't like a 3D cutscene.
Yes. But the weirdest thing that I could not get over was the fact that it was 1/3. I want to say it's like 1/10, like really animated, like really amazing cutscenes, and then in 1 in 5 was just sort of like this, like fully voice acted, CGI generated scenes. Okay. But then the rest of it, the bulk of it, was just text on a screen.
I don't understand because this game came out in 2013. Okay, 2013, and we have to read like every single cutscene, and I feel like they really gave up because in the beginning there were quite a bit of voice acting cutscenes. There was a lot of that Studio Ghibli animation, but then about halfway through the game, it just fell off, and there was like no other cutscenes like throughout the entire rest of the game, and it was very disappointing. And I just did not want to have to read all of these stupid texts back and forth, and it was very disappointing because I think the voice acting was pretty good, and I kept wanting to hear Drippy talk, but he never like talked again after you left his island.
I know, and oh my God, like. I remember being in the pig city or whatever, and then the cutscene coming, and I was just like, what? Like, I haven't seen that in the last, like, 30 hours of this game.
I know.
Like,
I know.
And by that time, like, you're so into this, like, I mean, it's like a different thing at different points. And when I saw that cutscene in like the pig city or whatever, I mean, this is how much
moving buildings.
Right, the moving buildings. It was a cool concept. Everything about this place was a cool concept.
Yes.
But like, I was just like, I could have gotten all this from a movie. You could have just done this in a movie, and I think it would have been 10 times better.
Yep. Because if you really think about it, the story is not all that long. Because what takes you a long time is like fighting through everything. And well, let me back up even more. So did you watch the rest of the cutscenes that you missed?
Okay, so
not that there were a lot because you had to read them all, I guess.
No, what happened is an hour before this this thing right here, I went onto YouTube and I googled No Kuni, and then I picked up some of the guys' Let's Play at the very end where it's the boss battle, the final boss battle.
Yep.
And then I just watched, like all this grandstanding acting that, belongs in a Mexican soap opera. And then I watched, the run around rootin' tootin' shootin' gallery, or Pokemon gallery. The combat system, and I hope that we get into the combat system.
We'll get to that.
Okay, all right, okay.
So let's back up to the story, because do you want me to walk you through like a high level overview of what happened?
Yeah, can you please just
I'll fill in the gaps.
Yes, good.
And before I do, we were talking about cutscenes, lack of voice acting, lack of cutscenes themselves. This game actually started as a Nintendo DS game. And they actually
it feels like it.
They actually launched it as a Nintendo DS game, and then 2 years later came out with the PS3 version, which makes a heck of a lot of sense because the whole time you're fighting like the Dark Jinn, right? And the White Witch, like you don't even meet her till the very, very, very end. And the Nintendo DS game was called Ni no Kuni: The Dominion of the Dark Jinn, which makes a lot more sense because that's who you fought in the Nintendo DS game. But when they translated it to the PS3, they added this new character, the White Witch, and that's why you're fighting the Dark Jinn the whole time. And then Oliver doesn't even know the White Witch exists until the extreme end where you fight her as Attack on.
It is so interesting because it was like, okay, so like I really felt like playing this game whenever the cutscenes of that woman would come, that I was watching like a Power Rangers episode.
Yes.
Like, because it was like she keeps on sending this dude up to like mess up my day. And then I keep defeating him over and over and over and over again. They're like, these are just like the putty men that come down, and then like the putty men are here. Better get in our suits and fight them. And then like, just like they never learn that this guy is incompetent and can't do his job. Okay, you get 1 or 2 or 3 chances. You don't get it was like, 7 or 8, like that. And that's why I felt like a series, because they were like Team Rocket, right? They were just gonna, show up to mess up your day, and it's like, oh, this guy. Anyway, all right. So give us a high level.
Yeah, but anyway, storyline wise, so it starts off with Oliver in this like pseudo 1940s, 1950s American town, where his idiot friend builds this car.
Builds a car at the age of 10.
And, he apparently doesn't have a clue what he's doing, because when Oliver takes it for a spin, the like front wheel flies off, and Oliver ends up in like the river, and his mom has to come out and try to save him. But in doing so, his mom ends up dying.
I remember that. I was like,
straight up dying.
God damn.
And the tears of sorrow turns his little stuffed animal into a magical fairy called Mr. Drippy. Who's like an angry drunk Irishman.
At this point, I was just going, okay, I get that, like, we're going to, like, another world or whatever, but like, could we find a less just awful way of getting there? My mom dies, and then my tears wake up my teddy bear, and he takes me to a new world? Like, could we just maybe find a wardrobe, perhaps, that they can walk into?
Stumble into it. Or the car, goes so fast it goes into that new dimension.
Exactly.
Back to the Future ties it.
Yeah.
Something other than your mom dying, but
your mom, which is in the first 5 hours of this 120-hour game.
Right. So the fairy falsely promises, as you find out at the end, that you can save your mom and bring her back to life if you go to this magic world and find her soulmate and save her soulmate.
And of course, here's the thing with this game from the get-go, is that you're not entirely sure until the plot kind of decides that you are whatever. We're dropping this real world and going totally fantasy world.
Yeah.
But in the very beginning, you're like, is this kid like just insane and like drinking like lead water and like banging his head against a tree and imagining all of this because he's grieved because his mom died?
Which that's what I was thinking too. Like, is this all a dream in his crazy messed up head because his mom died and he's like a 5-year-old kid or something?
And they kept it ambiguous for a while.
Yeah.
This is like your magic wand is like a stick you picked up in the real world.
Yeah.
You just think, oh, this is the story of how this 10-year-old went crazy.
Yes. That's really what it is.
Right. Like, really, like, all of Ni no Kuni takes place, like, it's the Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Padded Cell. Like, he's just in a straitjacket, drooling, banging against the walls because, like, he's imagining all of this. Yeah, anyway, so, okay.
So they go to the magical realm to try to find, I think her name was Alicia, the Sage of the South or something like that, who apparently is this popular person in the magical world. And so they start going from town to town trying to find clues that would lead her to Alicia. Now they find out, I think early on, that the Dark Jinn captured her soul in some kind of like soothsayer device. I forget the exact name. But they need to try to track down the Dark Djinn now to break Alicia free, thus saving his mom, and all can be well. They go to a couple towns. One is like a magical castle land straight out of Zelda. One's El Makmoon, which is like a city of cows, but it's like an Arabian cow city.
That's the thing is like the actual towns that I visited were very distinct and very colorful and very flavorful, and the areas that I visited were very colorful, and I loved that. That was like, okay, I can see where the studio had a lot of influence.
Yeah. And that's what kept me going was the amazing visuals in this thing, because it is just stunning to see on a full 1080 giant screen.
It's amazing.
But then they eventually end up in the Pig City, which is an industrial complex run by pig people. And then, like you said, they go back in time to try to get his wand, which was destroyed in the present timeline, so they have to go back to get the most powerful wand in the world or something like that. Then they discover that, oh my god, we're missing the 3 magic balls in the wand, and we need to go find those. And so they travel across to 3 locations to get that. Once they have that, they are then ready to take on the Dark Djinn. So they go to his fancy castle up in the north, and they defeat him. Now, in defeating him, they learn 2 things. One, Alicia was never captured by the Dark Djinn. She actually went forward in time to a different world and ended up being Oliver's mother the whole time. And so, surprise, surprise, you can't save Alicia because she's really dead, because she's your mom who is dead.
Okay, hang on. Can we back this up a second?
Yes.
I did not understand any of that.
Okay,
what?
So the whole time you're trying to find this sage Alicia, right, who was captured by the Dark Djinn?
Right.
Turns out that in the final battle between Alicia, the sage in the other world, and the Dark Djinn did not capture Alicia. Alicia used the time travel spell to go forward in time to a random time, and jumped over to another world, which happened to be Oliver's world, and birthed Oliver because Alicia is Oliver's mom. There is no other soulmate because, for whatever reasons, I guess sages don't have soulmates apparently.
Okay, so like the whole point of this thing was like your tears were so sad that they brought the dude back to life, and then he tells you that you have to go get your mom's other soulmate, and then.
Which turns out his mom doesn't have a soulmate because.
But like, shouldn't Drippy have known that?
You would think. I guess everybody just figured the Dark Djinn has captured Alicia, and I don't know, because apparently all of that happened like way in the past too, like 1,000 years in the past or something like that.
Okay.
And Alicia just jumped forward in time to some random timeline, which just happened to be, I guess, 1,000 years in the future.
All right,
jumped to another world and had you as a kid.
I guess that works, but like, I mean, no foreshadowing. I think.
Well,
right?
that's just the thing. Like, how heartbreaking is that? Because at least you had hope before that by saving Alicia, you could bring your mom back to life. But finding out that your mom was Alicia and she died, in the beginning of the game.
Because you drove a stupid car that your friend
because
made.
you drove your idiot friend's car into the river. And Oliver took this like pretty well, by the way. Like, he wasn't like distraught or anything. He just kind of like was like, "Oh, that's an interesting factoid." And then
that's
continued.
my biggest problem. That's my biggest problem in this game is that like the length makes the story ridiculous. It makes it ridiculous.
Yeah. And so the other piece of news that you discover in the last battle with the Dark Djinn is that the Dark Djinn is actually your soulmate. And back in the day, he looked just like you. And then he grew up to be evil because there was like a fire and he wasn't allowed to save some kid in the fire.
Wait, what?
So the kid died and you became evil and distraught and wanted to destroy the world, and that's how your soulmate became the Dark Djinn.
Wow. Japanese storylines, man. What the
Yeah.
hell? Okay, all right. I just want to say, like, when you recommended this so highly to me, at the time that you were at, like, at that point, I would have looked at this game, and if we had talked about it when I played it then, I would have said, this is following like the classic like hero's journey, right? You
Mm.
know, you discover there's the ordinary world, and then there's the extraordinary world.
Yes.
You
Yes.
are the chosen one. You go into it. Yeah, right. So like the problem is that like that arc gets like hammered flat by we're gonna go to this town and we're
Mhm.
gonna you're gonna do these 50 things before you can advance, and then you're gonna go to this town and you're gonna do 20 more things. Yeah, so like anyway, go on. So like the you are actually the person you're fighting this entire time. The person who's like responsible for all this evil crap
Yes.
to the world, right? So
Yes.
like so it's you.
And this is where it kind of gets interesting
Wait,
because
how did you like is it you or is it like a
it's
twin?
it's
Oh
your
wait,
soulmate. So it's
oh.
not really you, but it's your equivalent in the other world.
So why didn't your mom have a soulmate like in this?
They explained that she did not have a soulmate
Okay, so
because a
like
sage doesn't have soulmates or something like that.
But
That's what they said.
a sage's offspring do? Are sages not able to
Apparently, I don't know.
have kids in this world or in the other world?
I don't know how it
Like,
works. I have no idea how it
oh,
works.
man,
You never even meet Oliver's father, so who knows how that happened?
what the is Oliver Jesus? What the hell's going
I
on?
don't know. I don't know. It wasn't really explained too well.
Yes, where is your dad? Like he doesn't ever appear in this entire thing,
No, he's
right?
never mentioned once. I don't think.
You were just immaculately conceived in this like pseudo 1940s American town.
Yeah. And it's funny too because after your mom dies, like you're just left alone. Like you're just left alone to go about your business, like with your house. And you keep going back to Motorville, and everybody's like, "Oh, hi Oliver, how are you doing?" And it's like nobody's taking care of me because you're just this like 7-year-old kid living on his own now because his mom is dead.
Hi, Oliver. Are you okay? I hope that big empty house still has electricity going to it. I
No
mean,
kidding.
your mom died last month, and as far as we know, she's still laying in the living room. Like, you know, I hope the electricity bill's getting paid. It's getting really hot this summer. Oliver's just all of this is just Oliver Oliver in like a feral household environment eating the last scrap of mac and cheese and
Yep.
whispering
Yep.
things
Yep.
to his stuffed
This
doll.
this is this is how his mind keeps him going
Okay.
by
So
overlaying
just
reality.
I don't even care anymore. Okay, all right. So like he is an evil self in the other world. Go on. Go
Yes.
on.
Okay. So this is where it kind of gets interesting because this is also where it explains well that it came from a DS game called The Dominion of the Dark Djinn because after you beat him, they really set it up like that's the end of the game. Like they really set it up like that's the end of the game. You think that the credits are coming at any minute, and the whole time I'm thinking because there's the little cutscenes after you beat them, and they really set it up that it's over because Oliver's like, okay, there's this party at the castle place, the first town, and we're gonna celebrate, and then Oliver's gonna go back to Motorville and live out the rest of his days, and then in the middle of Oliver casting his spell to go back to the town forever and leaving everybody behind, the White Witch not appears, but her ominous voice comes across the land and
Her hastily inserted after production voice.
yes, and shoots down this ash that turns everybody to zombies. And
Wait, like all of the world into zombies?
all of the towns were turned into zombies, which is kind of where
Well,
everybody is.
maybe you should have done that in the first place.
Yeah,
Like,
like
I
what are you
mean,
waiting for, lady? this Dark Jin guy, you fight him like 4 times along the way, and he fails every time. Why do you keep sending him back? Why didn't you just do this from day one? But anyway, so she turns everybody into zombies, and you escape with the Sky Pirate because he comes in at the end and like plucks you up and away, and they're like, okay, now who's this lady? We gotta fight this lady and turn everybody back. They then discover how to break the spell, which is turning everybody into zombies. But to do that, you have to apply the Super Mario Brothers principle and fight everybody and kill everybody to get to the black crystal, which is in all the castles of each of the towns. And then, of course, you have to fight the queen as the boss. Zombie.
Okay, so it's like 4 or 5 more boss fights.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, jeez, at this point.
But at this point, they're like,
game's already so long.
Yeah, because as I said, they really set it up like that was the ending, but then all of a sudden, nope, you got another 10 hours to play. Or at least that's what my experience ended up being. And so what they did then was, because in Super Mario Brothers, the whole concept is back in the first game, you like jump up and destroy boxes to help you along the way, right? That gives you life and all this stuff, but if you read the fine print, all the boxes were people that were turned into boxes by Koopa. And so you're killing people along the way throughout the whole, Super Mario Brothers. And so that's what happened.
Is that actually what's happening in
Yes.
Super Mario Brothers?
Yes. That's actually what happened. Because like I said, if you read the story of the pamphlet that came with the first Super Mario Brothers, it says that Koopa came to the town and turned everybody into boxes. And what do you do the whole time? You smash and smash and smash boxes.
So like, but no. I'm interested in the fact that Super Mario Brothers now has an ethical speedrun like category. Like you need to get through the game with destroying as little boxes as possible.
Yes.
Because they're people.
Because they're people. Because when you win, you allegedly turn all the people who were in the boxes back into real life. But what happens to the people that you destroyed? You probably killed them. Well, same concept here.
In order to
get to the black crystal, you have to fight your way through all the zombies. And who are the zombies? But they're the town folk who turn into zombies. But in order to save them, you have to fight through them.
Oh my God. So they're all the town folk you spent the entire game helping.
Saving. Yeah.
And fixing all their problems.
So you just go on a murder path. Nobody's left by the time you get to the castle. to save them.
Wow. What a game that makes you go like at the end of it, wow, what was the point of that?
Yeah. But anyway, so you save the 3 towns. And then you discover the Lost Continent, which is the area on the map that was always kind of hidden until the end.
Yeah, I tried to go there, I remember, but once I got the dragon, like that
it was a free for all. Once you got the dragon, you could go anywhere.
I was like, whoa, and that's when I started, like, I kind of just like at that point I was like, I'm kind of done with this game, but it's so beautiful. I just want to go to like all the little places on the map. I don't want to explore, and like. That was actually like a oh my God, why did they not do this sooner? Because they're throwing a lot at you in this game. I'm just gonna say they are throwing a textbook worth of gameplay mechanics and rules and whatever.
Well, if you want to get to the whole Wizard Companion, I mean that's like a 300-page book embedded into the game to help you along.
Oh my God! Oh yeah, no. And what's funny is the Let's Play I watched at the very end when he was fighting and this is my research on the end. This is like this one boss battle, and then she turns into Ganondorf turns into Ganon, right?
Yeah.
So
there were 3 levels to the last boss.
Oh, there are
where it's like you fight the normal witch, she turns into like this wolf lady, and then the wolf lady turns into this like giant floating head, and then you fight and win.
Okay. And then you fight and win. The story of No Kuni.
Yes.
And that's really what the story of Ni no Kuni was. Is just like, and then you fight and then you win.
Yeah. Why do we segue that into the battle system / leveling up of this game and strategy?
Okay.
Because I think that's a good segue into this. So fundamentally, I mean, my first reaction to the battle system was I hated it. because it's not turn-based, so it's very real, very live, and you got to be on your game and knowing what you're doing.
I know.
If you want to do a certain magic move or something, because there's no time to waste.
I know.
When this thing is going on.
No, like I felt like this game was like the story was like the simplicity of a kids TV show, but like the gameplay and all of the mechanics were like Ender's Game. Boom.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna put you up in the battle station and you're gonna learn the most complicated way to fight that mankind has ever known.
Yeah. So I mean, once I got a little experience and started loving my character up, I just found myself just mashing the X button to attack the whole time. Like that's just what I'm gonna do.
Well, I was just a big fan of destroy them all, spam magic attacks. Super attacks. I maximized those because I just didn't want to deal with it. I just wanted a blaze of pulsating pure energy to cleanse this stupid bullshit from this game. That's what my feeling of my approach to mastering this combat system was. And I gotta say though, it did get mastered, and really and that was the problem, was all I ended up doing was spamming one or two super attacks, and then I won.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was every battle.
Yep.
And that was the thing I learned out real early on. As long as you hit somebody and make them pop out one of these goodies, you can keep the battle going on forever, man. Like that.
Yeah.
That was So
who was your three Pokemon, for lack of a better term? Or I guess they're called familiars, which I kind of like that name.
So honestly, I would have to get in this game to tell you, and
you don't remember?
I don't remember. I mean, I remember that the original dude, the little creature or whatever, is one of them, just because of the Venusaur principle. What I consider the Venusaur principle, which is if you start out with a Bulbasaur in the early Pokemon game, and you just monster stomp everything and take every scrap of experience points.
Right, that was my Juggernaut strategy, which works brilliantly in Pokemon, and it even applies here because of the, again, fundamental flaw of the leveling up system, which is that
creatures you've had longer are better.
Are gonna fundamentally be better because there's almost no chance of catching up by things you captured later on unless you take your original one out, because everybody gets the same experience points when you beat anybody.
Yeah.
So
whatever you pick for like your first three is like what you should stick. And that was my experience too. Just like you give me like 150 Pokemon, but no reason to use them because they're all going to be terrible. Right. Because the thing is, the leveling progression doesn't, like, it scales with your toughest dudes.
Yeah, and it also starts over, and so once you get to a certain level and you're ready to morph or evolve into the next phase, you start back at zero from an experience point standpoint, and so you have to do everything all over again and to bring them back to where you were before.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so, which again is bizarre because when you get somebody new, they're always like level 1 or level 10 or level 20, but all your rest of your party's at like level 60, and so you have to go through so much experience to get any new Pokemon or familiars up to speed. It's just not worth it, and so your best strategy is just to pick the first 3 you get, more or less, and stick with them for the whole game, because there's no point in unless you want to waste a lot more time going back and leveling up all these other familiars, which is just not worth it.
Yeah. So
I had the first guy because that makes a lot of sense, the little mite thing, and then I had some fairy thing I picked up second, and then the last guy was Captain Whamtastic, which was the little superhero guy. Which was awesome. It also got to the point where I didn't even need a third. I would just have one familiar out there, and then when his time ran up, I would switch him with the other, and then when his time went up, I would go back to the first guy. Why would I even have a third person?
The time thing, man. Like, okay, all right. Are we into this section of the combat? Like, I feel like I have to be a jet fighter pilot, like taking off, like targets
Right.
100,000 miles per second
Because it
away.
is
Right.
fast pace.
Yeah, and like maybe, hey, just maybe I'm just too old, right? Maybe we need an 11-year-old's reaction time in order to figure whatever the heck is going on.
Yeah.
This is a game that needs like brain drugs and like a Minority Report screen. Like that's the only way I would be able to play this game in the way that I think it was meant to be created. Yeah.
I mean, this game was created for the Japanese market, so maybe that's how they do it over there. I don't know. But yeah, it is incredibly fast paced, and if you don't know what you're doing, like it's gonna burn you because
Maybe one day where it's like we have like ports in the back of our brain stems like in the
yes,
Matrix, and like I can just plug into the PlayStation 9, or something like that. I could navigate those menus in a reasonable amount of time, but
yes,
not
because
these
you almost
not with these clunky meat sticks that I hold on the ends of my arm.
right.
Not with
It
that
wouldn't
controller.
be bad if when you try to navigate the menu, time pauses.
Yeah.
You can have it still be real time battle, but have it so that when you navigate the menu, because like I think when you click into spells or something like that, it will stop. But if you're trying to move around before you get to that, like it still doesn't stop, which is a pain. Have you ever played like Final Fantasy 12? Probably not.
I've never played the Final Fantasy series.
But Final Fantasy 12 has an excellent battle system that's way better than this one, but it's still real time. And you can also set up like thresholds. So say if somebody's MP gets below like 20, somebody will automatically throw them, some espresso or something like that.
Okay,
You
all right.
couldn't really do that here because there is no way to set up these thresholds of when somebody does something.
Can I just say I don't even like that. Like I played too much Civilization, and I have like this
So
Blizzard
you like straight up turn based.
turn-based. I can only do turn-based. Like I wasn't terrible at real-time strategy, but I was always much more of a chess player. It goes back, and I think, to like when I played chess. I used to play chess with my dad, and he would always like yell at me, "You take too long to move. You take way too long to move." And I'm just like I'm trying to figure out all the different
Yeah.
ways
Well, maybe they
that
figured this game was long enough and they wanted to, speed it up a little bit.
oh geez, like that's the problem, is that the leveling system and everything that surrounds like the length of the story, makes everything so ridiculous that you just don't. I don't know. Anyway,
My favorite kind of my favorite combat system is more like Kingdom Hearts, which is probably something you've never played either. But anyway, so that one's more real time, but you still have like HP and magic points and all that and experience points. You still level up and all that, but you fight more like Zelda, and it's real time. Like you're actually doing the moves you control, and it's not just mashing an X button, but you're moving around and avoiding things and hitting things and trying to fight, which I think is a lot better than these turn-based games, which to me is more on the boring side of I'm not doing anything. I like to do it myself as opposed to hit a button and it does X.
I need a way for me to formulate some sort of plan during an attack. Okay,
Yeah.
like. Uh, uh, uh,
Because I play obviously Pokemon, and Final Fantasy X is like that too, where it's very turn-based. You have to strategize everything. You have to really think through all your possible moves, and then
But you
you
get time
pick.
to do it.
Yeah, you have time to do it because everything stops until you move.
Yeah, and I couldn't take the madness. Each of those three people have between them three different
Yeah,
like creatures they can attack. Actually, four, because they can attack with themselves.
yeah.
Okay, so you have 12 different
Which
possible.
that's a whole another thing. Like, why do you even have familiars? Why isn't just Oliver Etzler or whatever her name was and the other guy? just attacking themselves.
Right. And that's kind of what I ended up doing. Like, I would just drain this dude's mana pool, and then I would super attack with Oliver, and then I would super attack with anybody else. So, like, and then and at the end of the super, if they weren't dead, then I usually panicked and died.
Right.
So, like, I mean,
Because that's actually what I had to do at the end to fight the White Witch, was not use any of my familiars because they were almost useless. I had to solely rely on Oliver and just use his super magic attacks the whole time to destroy her. And that last battle, man, I tell you, that was rough because I had to do it.
I'm glad I didn't play it.
I had to do it 4 times to beat that witch. And
God, why did you do that?
since there are 3 levels,
why
don't
did you do that?
they don't let you save in between.
Oh my God!
And so obviously the witch gets better and better or more harder and harder as the time goes on. And so you've already invested like 50 minutes into this thing by the time you get to like the last lady. And then you like die, and you have to start all over again, and it's just so draining of having to do that again.
I'm glad that I'm spared that pain as well with this game, because holy crap, like, I would not want to do that. That just doesn't sound like a fun use of 4 hours. Okay, so like I think we're still in the story, right? So like everybody gets turned into zombies and the White Witch, and then you walk down some corridors and fight the White Witch, and she turns into. So what happens at the end? Like,
okay, yeah. So the very very end is the White Witch actually was a good witch, and
she was actually good the whole time.
Yeah, she was. She was good the whole time. So 10,000 years in the past.
We're going back in the past.
Going back in the past again. So 10,000 years in the past, the White Witch wanted to make everybody's sorrow go away in the world. So that's a very, I guess, admirable goal to do.
I feel like everybody gets the wicked treatment in this.
They do, because here's what happened. She casted some spell she found that would do just that, get rid of all people's sorrow, but it ends up being the same spell that she just casted before, where she turned everybody into zombies. And so what happened was everybody in her kingdom died because everybody was a zombie and they killed each other. But because they all died, there's no more sorrow in the world because there is nobody in the world. Therefore, how could there be sorrow if there's nobody left? So everybody in her whole kingdom dies, and she's the only one there. And through her loneliness, she again becomes evil in wanting to keep sorrow away or something like that. And through her sheer power of being a witch, her memories become real, and that's what her parrot is. That's what her like Zodiac Council of 12 is. They're not real. They're all just figments of her imagination and memory.
I saw that, and that was like really weird because
yeah,
they were
they were
clearly like, I don't know, independent seeming or something. I guess they were all, I don't know, whatever.
But anyway, so what eventually happens was when you beat her, her goodness comes back because she was so lonely for so long. You fought away whatever took over her, and she became a good witch again. And you go off and live your life, and that's it.
So you defeat her, and it's I guess it's a big deal. What's the resolution? What's the denouement of this ginormously long game?
Well, your mom's dead, so you have nothing to live for anymore. So you just go back to Motorville at the end.
You just go back to Motorville at the end, where you live in your dead mom's house.
Right, because you just live out the rest of your days in your dead mom's house, I guess. Nobody cares. Nobody helps, and nobody cares.
Hi, Oliver. It's like, I dropped these oranges the other day. Oh, darn. Like, that's what they'll say until the end of time.
Yep.
What if neither world is real, Oliver? Take the red pill.
So you'll be interested to know that they recently announced a No Kuni 2.
I actually was reading into that. Yeah, they
Yeah,
did.
which
Yeah.
has apparently nothing to do with this game whatsoever, and it's gonna start with all new people, probably because they realized they screwed this kid's life up so much.
This kid. So what happened to all the other characters? Because there's the girl with the blonde girl, right?
Yep.
And she was. So what happened to her? She was like a genie or something.
She was dressed like a genie from.
She's dressed like a genie, but like when she she was like
She
the
was the
daughter.
daughter of the black guy for some reason.
Yeah, she was like the daughter of this really black dude, and she was lily white. And I was like, wait a minute, the adopted? What's
Yeah.
going on here?
But yeah, she I guess went back because after you defeat the White Witch, it just kind of ends. Like there's no like what happened next kind of piece to it. Everybody just went about to I assume their old life again, and Oliver went back to Motorville.
What happened to the creepy guy with the pedo beard? And the
Oh, yeah, that guy, Swain, I believe his name is.
every when Swain got into the mix, I was like, what is this story doing?
Yeah,
Like this guy is
yeah,
clear.
yeah.
This guy's clearly a stranger danger. That's
Well,
what
well,
I
here's
would.
the thing, because he's hanging out with like 7-year-olds, and he's like some 30-year-old dude
Yeah, he
who
is.
just joins them on this quest for no reason. It's very suspicious. But in the story, if you recall, which I think you got to, he ended up being like the former prince of the industrial pig city, but he ran away for some reason as a kid. When you went back in time, right before you came back to the future, he ran away from home, and then he became Swain, the like drug addicted peddler thief, who then joins your party for some reason. So he and his prince, and now the emperor, I guess, go back to Hamlin and live the rest of their days there. I don't know. Like I said, they didn't really close the loop on a lot of these stories. Yeah.
Okay, I have never been more. I've never felt more vindicated in my dropping a game and just being done with it than I have with this game because
Yeah.
holy crap, this was this game was just something else. Like
It was quite the experience. Like I've never experienced anything this detailed. Like it's been forever that I've experienced something so well put together from a
yeah,
detail perspective.
and that's why I don't want to like throw this game away.
Mhm.
Like I mean, I feel like this is like this is something that needs so like out there somewhere I think is the Phantom Menace recut, okay? Where it's
Uh-huh.
like chopped down to, the all three movies are chopped down to like 81 minutes. And it's actually pretty decent, like that's and it's mostly just, fights and
Mhm.
battle scenes or whatever. But Nino Kuni certainly could do with a bit of that. It could do with a large bit of trimming.
Yeah.
And it would be probably one of the better games of all time. That's the
Right. That's
that's
what I
the
was saying.
thing.
Because when I first started playing this, I'm like, this is by far the best game I played in a very long time. And I might even go so far to say it's the best game since the N64 era.
That's what I shared like with you for like the first like
Mhm.
12 or 18 hours of the game
Right.
because I definitely I was like very blown away by the number of excellent cutscenes, the amazing voice acting,
And like the sheer detail of it all.
the
Like the visuals
detail.
are amazing. You think of like the
Right.
Wizard Companion again, that extremely detailed and I think well put together manual basically for the game.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't see that at all for any other game, and it was just so
Yeah,
well intertwined into
and
the
all of
game
like there
itself.
was there was like a crafting system and like
Yeah.
there were and it all had its own personality. All the towns had their own personality. There was like a syllabus that was like a literal encyclopedia within this game. It
Hmm.
was just like probably if you printed this thing off, it would be it would be a textbook, which is in this game. And so like that level of detail, like it made someone that the thing is it made someone's day out there who wasn't me, you know.
So like I said, I'm looking at the Wizard Companion right now. It's 340 pages long.
340
340 pages. And I probably, at one point or another, sat down and read this whole thing throughout the game.
Wow, okay. All right. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like
Well,
it
that's
has
the thing. Like,
legs.
as much as it is packed in with detail and all this stuff, I still feel that it's only half done because if
Mm.
all of the cutscenes were voice acted, if all of the cutscenes were Studio Ghibli anime,
Yeah, yeah. But you're right.
it
I think
would want to keep you going. But the
you
fact
point.
is that halfway through they just stop all of that, and
Yeah, yeah,
it's just
yeah.
reading a
I
text
I
on
would
screen from
say,
there.
but that's I think you nailed that pretty early on, where you said like, about a third of the way through, they just kind of just stop caring.
Yeah.
I mean, or like they run out of money, or they or I think it might have been that. So like that's what I maybe see maybe have happened. What have happened to Ni no Kuni, because it seems very front loaded on the production value, and then a
Yeah,
third of the way
it just falls
it
off.
just
Yep.
it just falls off.
They give up.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the world, the overworld especially is incredibly beautiful. All right, but that was one.
I love how it's like a diorama, like everything's like
Yeah.
miniaturized and you're just running around in your
Yeah.
big self.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. And that's one of the things that I really picked up out of the end. And it's what made me stick with it through what you said, what was like 70% of the game. So
Hmm.
like in a way, like I feel like the people who were making this game, I want to say, hey, guess what? You made a good game. I didn't play through the whole way because it was just really tedious, okay? But like the parts that I did play, that I thought were really there were parts of it that I played and I thought this is really inspiring, this is really amazing.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, in the
by
end, it
God,
wasn't worth
but
it.
in the end, by God, there was a lot of filler. So yeah, yeah, that's so. Do you have any more questions about the Nino?
uh, I think we hit all the topics.
Okay.
So this has been a good little overview here to talk through.